a CRN original.
Attention, you are about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You have heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders, and now he's about to tell you how to unite the America he loves.
That job's filled.
Unique. Brilliant. And unpredictable. Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help unite America, the America that made his dreams come true.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Robert Davi Show.
Hello, friends. I'm suppressing a sneeze, so forgive me if I sneeze. You know when you get that tickle? You get that little tickle right before you have to sneeze, and you don't know if it's going to attack or you're going to evade it. And I'm in evasive mood, and who knows if it'll all of a sudden just explode on air. But put your mask on just in case there's something that comes your way that shouldn't be. And I want to talk to you about a few things today. One being a new... I was alerted by a scientist, a doctor, and there's a Wall Street Journal article. Another respiratory virus is spreading as the U.S. gets back to pre-COVID-19 life. And it's called the RSV case. Is typically more common in winter months, are rising in southern states. So, as it seems that this respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, I don't know if I'm pronouncing syncytial virus, syncytial. The health authority is saying that unseasonably high number of RSV cases, which are more common in the fall and winter. And they were way down last year because of masking and stuff. And now they seem to be on the rise. And I know adults catch this. Children have a run-in with the virus by the age of 2. And I remember several weeks ago, or 2 months ago, my daughter had like something, I don't know if it was called that, but she had a little nasal congestion, and it could have been that. And my friend, who's a doctor, his daughter has it, or had it, and he was dealing with that, and it can cause pneumonia or severe symptoms. So, welcome to the world of the 21st century and our immune systems. Stuff I think that's been around forever, but if you have a head cold, just beware. Masking is probably a good thing, in spite of a bunch of people that hate it and don't like it. That's up to you. I choose to, in some aspects, wear a mask. It makes common sense to me. I don't like it, and I won't wear it in the car, of course, and I won't wear it at home. But if I'm going out in public, I think it's up to you. It's your prerogative, and you should wear it. Also, we're talking about the buildings coming down in Florida, and that has seemed to awakened a plethora of other buildings being concerned, not only in Florida, but actually right here in Los Angeles. Marina Del Rey, the Marina City Club, which I used to live in Marina Del Rey, right on the beach. And I remember when this building went up in the 80s, and it's a high-rise Marina City Club, and the residents there are terrified because the building has cracks, and they want to make sure that everything is okay, but they can't. They're having a sleep problem at night because of the fear of what happened in Florida could happen at any time, anywhere. So I think structurally we need to look at our buildings in the seaside towns because who knows what happens? Who knows what corners are cut by contractors or just life, over time, things that deteriorate. So there should be an absolute caution on what where people are living. I think that's a necessary exploration. Also, what's happening in the news is that Donald Trump his organization is charged with tax crimes, but they're saying that they're not going to charge Trump. And lastly, we have, not lastly, because there's so much happening in the news, but Bill Cosby, the storm of Bill Cosby, and I did a whole show yesterday, or a part of the show, on Bill Cosby. And Bill Cosby, and I said to you before, and I use the analogy of an iceberg. Issues are like icebergs. They look like something on the surface, but then beneath the surface there's a whole other channel. And I hear continued attacks on him letting him go. I think it was a good thing to let him go. He was entrapped in a certain way. He made a deal with the DA. And I also think that, as I said to you yesterday, or the show before this, that Hollywood had a culture from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. They were handing out 714s or these Quaaludes like they were Tic Tac mints. They were just doing it. It was happening. And if you went into a place and you had a girl with you, and there was whisperings that somewhere over here someone was giving Quaaludes, or another girl would, hey, come over here, talk to us for a second. Think they're having an innocent conversation, but she would be sent over by some other girl to kind of bring the other girl into this thing, and then a Quaalude would be passed, and then you wouldn't see that girl. This happened. That was the culture in the 70s and 60s. Now, Bill Cosby wasn't an ugly person. He was a studly guy at the top of the world, with I Spy and his shows and his humor and respected. So, and I told you yesterday that I spoke to, in Macau, China, a very big artist that said that a lot of the women that have accused him, not all 60, whatever it is, but a lot of the women that accused him were living in homes for several months at a time that he had. He helped them along. And so it's, I say in my show, my first, no one is innocent. No one is innocent. Now, there may be some innocence, yes. And I'm not condoning the behavior at all. I have 6 daughters. 2 of them stepdaughters, but 4 of my own and 2 stepdaughters. 6 girls. So I don't condone anything untoward toward women. But life is complex sometimes. And I know how sometimes relationships can be misconstrued, or you think you're doing something that is a mutually agreed to upon, but it may not be. And that's just human nature. And with this lobotomized culture, I don't call it woke culture, where you can't say anything. You know, I think I said something the other day, very innocuously. I mean, it was not threatening, nothing, and I'm not comfortable with that. Oh, really? I'm so sorry. That's what you hear nowadays. I'm not comfortable with that. And I think we're giving a generation of, it's dangerous, because we're going to be, and I said earlier, it could be for robotics, for artificial intelligence. We're going to be absolutely melted down into nothing, to 1984. No color. No color meaning no interesting personalities, no flamboyance, because it would be, it's the wrong thing to do. Can't be like that. It's Maoist. That's what Mao did in China by putting everyone in those uniforms. He absolutely uniformed them into a box of thinking a certain way, and that's what's happening to us. And my problem, my frustration, is that we have the left and the right, and we're not talking to each other as we should be. And even the pundits. You hear on the news, and let's take the Cosby thing. give me an alternative point of view. And some people are. You know, I mean, Leo Terrell, who's a great civil rights lawyer, black man, agreed with the law because what happened with Bill Cosby, the law protected him, as it should protect all of us. And we should all want this. Every single one of us should want this kind of outcome because from what I gather, a deal was made. Anyway, I don't want to rehash yesterday's show, but it's still in the news and it's vibrant and it's on all the networks. And it will be for a little bit of time. And again, any of the people that have been hurt or wrongly, I'm not condoning any of that behavior. But how does a court let hearing Britney Spears' testimony, how does a judge let her father still have conservatorship? How does that happen? And how many adults are out there? How many senior citizens are being held captive by their children, being muted, being bullied, with no recourse? It's an epidemic. It's a scary thing. I had an ex-mother-in-law who was bullied by her in some ways, and they were bullied by her son. If she didn't do what she wanted, you know, and they didn't know where to go. And a parent's love of a child is overwhelming, of course. But I believe in tough love. Just ask the little turtle face that's in the corner of the show. It's my little son, Nick. Where's Nick? Where are you, Nick? I don't see you.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644.
Fred Dreyer here. Join me at the Ramp Bar and Grill in Burbank, California. Now open with indoor dining. Monday through Thursday, noon to 9, Friday, noon to 10, and Saturday, 4 to 10. Happy hour weekdays from 2 to 7 p.m. It's the home of the $5 margarita, by the way. Start with mouth-watering charbroiled chicken nachos. The best cheesy garlic bread in town, steamed clams and delicious soups and fresh salads. The best burgers in town. And steaks? Oh, you bet. Yum. Ribeye, filet, even prime rib. Italian specialties too. Ravioli, linguine, capellini, pomodoro, chicken parmesan, and a lot more. Save room for desserts too, including homemade cheesecake. It's the Ramp Bar and Grill, 7730 North Hollywood Way, minutes from Burbank Airport. Call 818-768-6499. Takeout and Postmates delivery too. Open Mother's Day from 1 to 9 p.m. Reserve your tables now. Call 818-768-6499.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Robert Davi.
You know, I'm the one delivering the message, not receiving it. So anyway, I want to put my little son up there, Nicky. Nick, let me see that little face of yours. This is my son, Nick, who is one of the engineers of the show. There's no Nick. Where's Nick? How come you're not up?
I'm right there.
Where? You're not on the screen.
I'm right on the... I don't think you can see me.
Yes, I did before.
Oh, I got it. You know, I forgot to do one little thing there.
Oh, there you go, Nick. Say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Say hello into camera.
How are you?
Wave. Atta boy. That's
Waving.
Nick. That's Turtle Nick. I called him Turtle Face. No, he's not. He's a handsome boy. He's a good boy. So, Nick.
What's up?
This is your first moment on national podcast.
Very true. It's pretty nerve-wracking.
You got your Jets hat on, don't you? Now, Nick was a hockey player, young actor, has a lead of a new film, but he's my son, 20 years old. He has a twin sister, Isabella, and family is a dynamic that's very interesting. Now,
intense music.
Yeah, put the music. Where's the music? Where's my music?
It's kind of, you got to be patient sometimes. I know.
No.
I'm a very impatient person.
I just want that music up there. Why do you put that bed on that takes forever to go?
It's just the bed.
I don't want that. Then don't use that bed. This is a fall asleep bed. I told you guys yesterday. Anyway, so Nick is learning this here. And here comes this tinkly music. And
God, you know what?
So
I'll put some rock and roll.
No, don't put rock and roll. Just leave that music. So here's what happens. So Nick,
How's that?
Nick, no, I don't want rock and roll. Get that off. All right, that you could do when you have your little podcast. You can rock and roll this out. No, you could play that rock and roll at some point.
Here we go.
But maybe we should put it on because I'm talking about you. Put on the rock and roll right now. Go ahead. Do the rock and roll because I'm talking about youth. Very good. Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it. Bring it up a little bit.
Well, it gets louder.
Oh, does it? Well, you'll have to bring it down. All right, so Nick, first off, likes all kinds of music, just so you know that. He likes everything from Frank Sinatra to Peggy Lee, to Elvis, to AC/DC, and these alternative groups. I mean, he likes all kinds of music. And but anyway, that's not what I want to discuss. Is his music taste. That could be another time. But so this morning, I'm rushing around because we have to leave for Hilton Head tomorrow, and I'm rushing around doing 10,000 errands. And my ex is over, and she's getting stuff that's been in the house forever to take stuff she wants, to save stuff, throw other stuff out. And I've got my wife there, and my 2-year-old, and my daughter Ariana, who's 30. So the dynamic, what happened to the music? Oh, okay. So the dynamic in the house
be able to hear you talk.
is like a dissonant. No, bring it up. They'll hear me. The dynamic. This is rock and roll? Who is this?
Well, it's not like it's rock and roll we're allowed to use.
Okay. Rock and roll we're allowed to use. So it's faux roll. It's not rock and roll.
See,
It's
I can't have it up that high.
faux roll. No, I don't mind. I don't mind hearing it. So anyway, so there's an interesting dynamic at the house, and everybody's getting along, but everybody has their own little tension. And my daughter Frances comes over, who lives in L.A., to help with things, and then my cousin Leo came over with his daughter McGuire, and the house was like, it was like this circus, a 3-ring circus. And anyway, so I'm kind of a serious-minded guy because I've got strategy. In other words, life is like a battlefield. It is. There are minefields all over the place. And with all those energies in the house, it's like, what minefield are you going to step on? So I stepped on one by mistake yesterday because at midnight they went out to get In-N-Out Burger. And it was the biggest mistake I made. And I didn't mean to say it, but I said something that referred to somebody eating a lot. And it wasn't, I call Nick. Now, Nick is slender and slim. And when he eats all that junk food all the time, I call him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm one to talk because I've got a lot of extra skin, trust me, extra weight. But it's just how we tease. So I said something to my daughter, Ariana, who's a gorgeous girl. We should put her picture up. And she started to cry because I really meant it toward Nick because he's the one. Midnight In-N-Out Burger. You know, we got a house full of refrigerated food and freezer. You can cook something, but everybody wants this fast food crap, right? And it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts about the fast food. And I go, well, why is she doing that? Why are they eating that stuff? So anyway, and the midnight. So then I'm sure they're up late at night. All right? They're up till 5 or who knows when, watching movies and doing stuff. Okay. So now it's time. I got up this morning at like 6 o'clock, started getting ready, got my things together, and you're wondering, what does this have to do with politics? Well, it has to do with family and the dynamic. So like I said, it's like a battlefield. So here I am, rushing errands already. Ran 3 errands. I come home. Nick was coming home with his mom, because they had to put tire in the car and he had to get something to eat, I think, because I saw a package of food in there. And I'm getting ready for the show. Right, Nick? Is that true? Was it about, you could talk.
No, I got food. Yeah.
Was it about putting air on the tire or about getting food?
I got air in the tire and food.
What was more important to you?
In the moment?
What was more important?
Well, what was on my mind first was the food.
Okay, so that's always the thing. That's always the overriding issue. So what Nick does is, I say, Nick, we got to go do the show, and I get a look from him right away.
Oh my God!
I get a look, one of those looks that I won't say on the air what it reminded me of, but that's what it was. He gives me a look and a little bit of attitude because that's what kids do to their fathers. It's hard for kids. Boys especially.
You're not like any other father, that's for sure.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm like every other father.
You're your own category.
No, I'm not my... You know what? You ask my cousin Johnny over this weekend. You'll see. Okay?
We should have him on the show.
He's busy.
I mean, he has some stories that he's told me from when he was a kid.
All right.
And he used to not do... he used to make him do everything.
What did he say? He thanked me for it.
Making me miss the cues.
Why didn't you say the truth? He thanked me for how I was. Did he not? Tell the truth.
Well, I mean...
He said I helped make him a success. Tell the truth. Say it, Nick. He can't say it. Anyway.
All right, yes, he said it.
So we had a little argument on the way over. When we come back, I'm going to tell you why French fried potatoes are actually help blood pressure. Eating more potatoes and baked French fries helps control blood pressure. Yeah. Potatoes tend to be a dieting no-no for people, laying off of starchy foods. And French fries often, they're, and I bring it up because Nick loves French fries, and I always got to take a handful or two. So reading this article about French fries got me excited. How long? 20 minutes? 20 seconds. Thank you, John. So a new study finds potatoes are getting a bum rap. Purdue University said eating more potatoes can help blood pressure. Keep it under control better than certain supplements. Now go figure. The Irish were right. Eat more potatoes.
Let's talk about your credit cards. When you first start using them, it's a slow drip. You make charges, then more charges, then bills come, and they keep coming. When you open your statements, the floodgates come pouring in. You realize you have more credit card debt than you can afford, and you're barely making the minimum payments. Wouldn't it be nice to make one affordable payment and have all your credit card bills covered? Make this free call and learn our responsible way to get your credit card bills paid and under control.
Sponsored by Consumer Education Services, a nonprofit organization.
800-876-3643. 800-876-3643. 800-876-3643. That's 800-876-3643.
CESI is not a loan company. The establishment of a debt management plan may adversely affect your credit rating. Non-payment of debt may lead creditors to increase finance and other charges to undertake collection activity, including liquidation.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1,800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808. Tired of lockdown? Let the reconnect begin. You belong here. Welcome home to the magic of Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante in Fullerton, California. Check out our new spacious outdoor dining al fresco. Romantic, market lights. It looks like a movie set. Dine under the stars and enjoy our tasty Angelo's and Vinci's pizza, pasta, seafood, chicken, salad dinners, and more. In the cool of the evening, come enjoy our award-winning menu, new wine list, specialty cocktails like our peach Bellini martini, appetizers, and more. Angelo's and Vinci's now open every day from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. for relaxing outdoor dining. No reservations needed. Just come on in for delicious Italian food. Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante, 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton. Call 714-879-4022. We're going to need a lot of pasta to get through this year. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton today.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
All right, is that a Q2 or a Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went MIA. To keep his books and his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, Johnny, have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Robert Davi Show.
I'm Dwayne Robinson, LAPD. I'm in charge here.
Not anymore. Not anymore. That's right, not anymore. Let's just say goodbye to little Nick. Nicky will come back at another time, and John is in there for Nick now. My brother from another mother, John. That's John right there. He'll be taking over for Nick. Say goodbye to everybody, Nick.
Bye.
Say, see you later, Nick. Anyway, that's Nick. We'll talk about a lot of things about Nick. Trust me, I've got a lot of stories about Nick. But none about John. So first off, John, I want to talk about the French fry thing being good for the blood pressure. We just left off on that. So that's a good thing.
Let's do it.
And John has a great voice, if you can hear him. Reminds me of Bo Snerdley a little bit. The guy that was with Rush Limbaugh, right?
Yeah, I've never heard that one. I always get either Barry White, James Earl Jones.
Well, you Barry White, you're using on the girls, brother. I know what you're doing. Listen to that voice, that basso profundo.
Always.
So this is John, and he's another engineer and radio personality, and we're here discussing things. So listen, let me ask you, what's prescient on your mind right now?
Listening to everything that's around me. You know, listening to a lot of the issues at hand. I mean, clearly you've touched on it, you know, and really trying to get a better understanding of just people overall.
Good.
You know, and again, listening.
So are you left or right, would you say, or would you say you're a centrist, or how would you, you know, people, they need labels.
which is to
Not
me
right.
the most terrible thing in the world, right?
Right.
Because with the label, there's a definition that comes with it, a lot of preconceived
Right.
ideas. I grew up on the left, grew up, pretty liberal, but that was because it was an idea that was given to me,
I
right?
see.
So now I think I'm in the middle, like I'm
Okay.
in the void.
So you're finding your own voice.
Finding everything, because
So
I
you-
feel as though there's a little bit of good everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right? So then how do we merge all of that?
And that's why I say no one is innocent, and we have to learn from each other and try to, I understand in terms of, like, let's take a simple thing, not a simple thing, a complex thing, the brouhaha. No one condones what was done to women, what Bill Cosby did to women.
Right.
And at the same time, there is, as I said earlier, in an earlier show, the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the iceberg, there's a whole other story that we don't know about.
Yeah.
We just know about accusations made 20 or 30 years later. And that seems to me that we have to, so what's your feeling on some of that? I'm sure you probably loved Bill Cosby growing up.
Loved him growing up, loved his show. As I got older, fell in love with his comedy. I feel as though that currently what we're dealing with, and you touched on this earlier, right? When we start to become, I feel as though that we're starting to become hypersensitive towards certain language, which isn't necessarily an issue. I believe the problem is when we begin to weaponize it, right? So yes, there's a certain way to say something. If you say something about my weight and I may be offended by it, it's like, okay, I can relay that message to you in a way that isn't me weaponizing that privilege to then in turn alter the way that you express yourself or your freedom of speech. And I feel as though that's happening far too often, especially within this case. Not to mention, if he's already made a deal or he already has resolved that issue, to then have a new way of living now and then retroactively go back and try to say, it's offensive to eat almonds now. So anybody that ate almonds 15, 20 years ago, now you should pay the repercussions for this new law that we're setting now. I feel as though that's pretty problematic.
Well, that's exactly where I talked about, the Bob Woodson and Thomas Sowell. I don't know if you've read them.
No.
But that's like bringing up reparations. Almonds is like a reparation idea.
Right.
And now I think the guy that created BTE wants $14 trillion of reparations.
BET, yeah.
BET, yeah. Mm-hmm. $14 trillion of reparations. And how do we do that? And who does it?
Right.
And where does it come from?
Now, do you feel as though that is the art of negotiation, right? To where it's in my opinion, I feel it's let's shoot for the stars and hope to land on the moon. Right?
Yeah, I understand that, but even the idea of reparation for me, I believe in terms of equity. But they're trying to do now in some areas, in the suburbs, people that have worked their whole life. Maybe your parents or maybe your uncle or maybe your aunt, not dependent on color, just people that have worked and you've grown up with, Hispanic, black, white, whoever they are, go into the suburbs and they buy a home and a little parcel of land, and they pay taxes on that, and that's their homestead. That's their, that's their little piece of America. Right. Now, America has, I've driven across it. I've flown across it. We've got wide open spaces all over the place.
Yeah.
Yet what they want to do is they want to go into purple suburbs, and they want to build low-income housing in these purple suburbs to turn them blue. That's, to me, gerrymandering a situation. That's the party in power using their power to subvert the will of the people in a certain way and bus or track people into another area. Now, when it was with education, and now we're hearing from the black community, they want segregated schools again, some of the black community. Right. I don't know if you've heard that.
I have.
I mean, think about that. Think about where we've come. We've now unsegregated our population, and now the black community, a part of the black community, wants to segregate us again. How insane is that? instead of going, you know what, guys, let's join hands.
I feel as though that they, and this is pure speculation, that it may be a loss of hope to try to say, hey, we want to try to become more inclusive, and then seeing that fail, then it's like, okay, let's start our own. Let's get our own. That's just my speculation.
No, but it's your feeling because you're a person of color.
Right.
So I want to understand, like you said, we want to listen, because I'm white, I'm Italian, so we're called brown.
Right.
But I want to understand where you're coming from, or where the black community might become. Not that you're speaking for all the black community. I understand that. Neither am I speaking for all the white community.
Right.
But I want to be able to better understand where the differences are in terms of the thinking. Because if we have, are you comfortable talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we have, and I think it's necessary, if we have the ability to, we have unsegregated our schools, how do we go about now saying we want to have, and you say they do have their own. They have black colleges.
They do.
They have, you know what I mean? And there've been certain kind of, so I think that there's at least from my prism, looking at it, not in it, but looking at the progress that I've seen.
Right.
And I think I've told you before, for years in Hollywood, they said, we're not going, like there was a part that I was up for, and they would say, no, we're going to go black with that character now, or Hispanic with it now,
right,
and now maybe Asian with it now, which is fine,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there seems to be a reverse, almost like and you have to feel it. It's like let's pay back the white European for what they did to us. You know what I mean? How they made the others feel. Let's now make them feel like the others. That's what it seems like. That seems like there's a part of a Marxist cultural revolution that wants to create that separation toward us, and it's perplexing. It's perplexing that we can't. But go ahead, tell me when we come back, you could tell me your thoughts.
Absolutely.
And then I want to hear a little bit of Nick's thoughts, because he's a younger guy and has a different sensitivity on this as well. I want you to weigh in on your thought of this whole issue, because it is one of the most important issues of our time right now, because we're either going to pull it apart or we're going to pull it together. And we have to unite. And we have to find a way to communicate to the youth so they listen.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
When you really want Italian food, you have got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Citizens, no need now to clamor for culinary gustatorial delights. Dreams do come true. Columbo's has triumphantly reopened its golden doors to feed the famished and soothe the savage beast. Bask in the delights of Columbo's succulent steaks, Neptune's superior offerings from the 7 seas, Columbo's family Italian specialties, and of course their world-famous meatballs, and it's all so affordable. Yes, Columbo's the ninth wonder of the world. The Southern California pantheon dedicated to unrivaled and unparalleled yum yum. Columbo's, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, mangia bene.
Now it's time for MedVed's Entertainment Minute.
Peanuts was probably the most beloved comic strip in the history of the world. And now there's an artfully assembled documentary about its creator, Charles Schulz. It's called Who Are You, Charlie Brown? And available on Apple TV+.
Peanuts is just its own planet.
I think Charlie Brown is just a little bit of what all of us have inside of us.
That's the voice of the real Charles Schulz, who died at 78 some 21 years ago. But unfortunately, this handsome tribute film includes generalized expressions of appreciation from oddly assorted celebrities rather than deeply revealing recollections from Schulz himself or his immediate friends and family. The animation of Charlie Brown, Lucy, Linus, Snoopy, and the rest of the gang is all lovely, even heartwarming at times. The central question posed by this promising project is never fully answered, but it's still worthy of 2.5 stars and your attention to ponder Who Are You, Charlie Brown?
Robert Davi.
Another $80 million write-off.
I guess it's time to start cutting overhead.
So, welcome back. We've been talking about a variety of things. This is John, my engineer, and one of my engineers, my son Nick, was on earlier. And we've been talking about Bill Cosby. We've been talking about reparations. I talked about how in Hollywood, years ago, 20 years ago, I would be up for a part and they said, well, we're going Hispanic or we're going black or, for diversity. And I understood all of that. And I talked about the last segment quickly about the head of BET saying that there should be $14 trillion, and John said, well, that's a starting point in negotiation, and I understand negotiations, but it's a difficult starting point in any way because in the scope of every single country, and also, John, Africa sold slaves, Spanish had slaves, the Middle East had slaves, the Jews were slaves, the Italians were slaves, the Roman Empire had slaves, France and Germany. And do we give reparation to 6 million Jews who were killed? And you can say you open up a can of history like the almonds that are good for you today, but now the law has changed and almonds are no good. So give me your perspective there on that for a second, from your insight.
Based on my limited research, right, and the conversation that I have amongst friends, the idea of reparations, when we look at it as a black community, we look out and we see, okay, there's a Jewish community that got some sort of reparations. It may not have been, an astronomical amount of 14 million, 20, whatever the number may be, but it's like, okay, we've seen them be able to establish a community. After internment camps with, the Japanese, we saw that there was some sort of recompense that came from that. And with this ugly monster of slavery and the existence within America, yes, slavery existed around the world, but as brutal as it was in America, and then the overflow of it, right, to where it's like some people in the black community feel as though that it still exists. When we talk about the school to prison pipeline, when we talk about different disparities when it comes to, housing or getting a small business loan. Now, needless to say, to add context to this, it isn't impossible, and I would be remiss to say that all black people have this experience, right? But it's very uneven. You know what I mean? If we're doing a comparison,
right,
there is a high level of oppression that still exists within the black community. And so, yes, there are outrageous, numbers and phrases that are being thrown out there, but I feel as though that it diminishes your true point. You know what I mean? When you say, hey, I want 14 million or trillion, right? That's a lot, right? And again, it's to startle people, but then it's like, okay, what are we really trying to say? We're really trying to say, hey, we need to have some sort of equality or something to where we're getting paid back for our communities that were destroyed, i.e. Tulsa, Oklahoma, just as one example.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like where's
well,
there any kind of
the
payback?
people in Redondo Beach that had their property taken away from them.
Right.
And now the city has to give recompense. From the turn of the century, a black couple that had beachfront property.
Right.
I understand that. But when you say $14 trillion, it's not just for shock value. Mm-hmm. It becomes a different thing because how do you communicate that to people of uncolor when they hear what $14 trillion? It now all of a sudden it galvanizes the black community because let's be honest with us. People were rioting in the streets and they were going into Gucci. They weren't going into food stores.
Right.
All kinds of people were going into Gucci. People want free stuff.
And to be fair, they weren't all black.
No.
But to your point, because I feel like I'm about to say the same thing you're saying, it's almost kind of hard to say what is the amount of payback that you can give the black community for slavery.
Well, there had been stuff. There had been affirmative action. There have been progress in certain things. And again, what I don't understand, I can't get my head around it. And I want to get my head around it. I can't get my head around generations because no one alive today came from slave owners that I understand. You know what I mean? There was no one that now, what they're talking about is generational wealth, the opportunity for generational wealth. That's what you're
privilege,
or privilege, or however it is. Now look at, and you mentioned Jewish people. Now the Jewish people, they have to help their families. Mm-hmm. There is a certain genetic experience that they have that when they get married or when they get a thing, they give a startup. The family members give a startup, and that's been going on for centuries, since the Jews were exiled out of Egypt. There was a certain kind of recompense that they said, let's help the inner. And I'm not an expert on this, right. And I know that there is when you think of generational wealth, I mean, look at all you have to look at the NBA. It's 90% black. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of millionaires. You know, I mean, there's wealth and music. There is opportunity. See, what I don't understand is excellence and meritocracy count for something, and by not featuring meritocracy, it makes us weaker as a nation and as a people, and as whether it be Italian or black or whatever it might be. If people are entitled or feel entitled, it stops them from wanting to do better. Now, again, and you said about the prison thing, and it's a complex issue, and I think it's too simplistic to say reparations.
And I feel as though that there's so many more complex concepts that exist within the system of racism, because a lot of what you mentioned, very true. I feel as though that a lot of those elements are pacification, right? Like, here is affirmative action so you can be quiet. Here's this so we can keep you to be quiet, right? And although very effective, and it's up to the black community to take advantage of a lot of those things, when we talk about black musicians, we know that there's a history of them signing bad deals or getting into bad deals.
All
right?
kinds of, but
and this is, and to be fair, this is everybody.
White
right?
musicians.
This is everybody.
Everybody. Right. No. Everybody's been taken advantage of by corporate America,
right?
Or corporate world powers.
Right.
That's a thing, you see. And what it is do we get victimized or do we come out of victimization? That is where I'm saying, in terms of, we've got to stop. I am somebody. Right. That was the initial thing in the 70s. Remember that speech?
Yeah.
Who gave it? Was it Jesse Jackson?
I believe so, or Al Sharpton, one of the two. Forgive me for.
Yeah, I think it was. I think Jesse was. I am somebody. Who knows? But I'm saying, there it was. And do you think? And then we'll pivot. Do you think that part of it is used to separate us? Part of this divisive kind of behavior or linguistics that we're seeing is used to separate us more?
Absolutely. I believe that there's a lack of context when it comes to a lot of these conversations, and I feel as though that there is a resolve, but it's just a matter of explaining it and allowing others to understand, okay, maybe there is a high level of cognitive dissonance that exists, right? To say, okay, no, maybe you didn't come from a lineage or a generation that owned slaves, but there is a system in place that you're not responsible for, your family isn't responsible for, but you're benefiting from. And it's at the cost of others whose ancestors were slaves, and they're not benefiting from this same structure, or they're ultimately, falling victim to a lot of the structural oppression that is set in place. And if I'm going out and I'm blaming everybody, then it does more harm than it does good, because then, like you mentioned, it galvanizes one side. It deifies one, demonizes the other, and then this causes the separation. This causes that, divisive action that clearly we're seeing in today's society.
Do you feel that the black man would have been better had they not been brought to America?
That's hard to say. I mean, I don't think that, anybody should have been whipped and, put in cuffs and died and, forced to work.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Let Nick weigh in on this for a second. Go ahead. Just move in on your generational thinking of this, Nick. What you know.
Well, all I'll say is that we just have to stop looking at each other as a white man and black man. We're just people, and we can't forget about our history. Like some people want to destroy our history and our monuments and destroy the past, but I think that's wrong, because we can't forget about what happened, but we have to move on from it. And yeah, it's gonna be tough to move on from, but it's just what we have to do. But yeah.
Okay. When we come back a little bit more on this, because touch a little bit more on it, because it is, I think, one of the most volatile issues in our country today, because there's a lack of understanding and a lack of being able to, how shall I say, there's so many complexities to it. There are so many deep complexities to this issue. And both sides want to, is this the end of the show? Oh my gosh, it's the end of the show. Hey, everybody. So sorry, we left you hanging. Think of a dangling participle. John, thank you, brother. We'll pick this up, because it's not a one-moment issue. It's a vibrant, growing issue, and I want to talk about how we can unify this issue and move on, if possible. Wonderful. See you tomorrow.